Money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle. Yeah. Trapped in the hustle. Yeah. Money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. I'm on my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. I'm still riding, bitch, I'm still riding. Skating through the city, bitch, I'm golden gliding. I'm still riding, yeah, I'm still riding. Quick to pull up like I'm driving. I'm still grinding, yeah, I'm still grinding.
Check, my man.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, we good.
My check.
Money dirty like the Sprite, you know what I lean. Yeah, trapped in the hustle. Yeah, money's dirty on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle. Yeah, trapped in the hustle. Yeah, see money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. I'm on my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, niggas hustle some money, niggas hustle some weed, niggas hustle the job and bitches hustle some weed. Hustle by any means, they hustling anything. Kid like Dr. King and hustle you for your dreams. Fuck you mean, nigga. I'm living life, man, I'm living life. Niggas hating me cause they ain't living right. I'm living life, man, I'm living life. I'm Mr. West with that money, I got my shit right. Fuck what you saying, man, fuck what you saying. Cause I ain't listening unless you paying. Fuck what you saying, man, fuck what you saying. Niggas dying, take a chance, Lord, that's why we praying. Amen. 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 Still trapped in the hustle. Yeah. Trapped in the hustle. Yeah. See, money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. I'm on my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. You can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money's all on my mind. I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. You can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle. shit that we on. We on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on. We on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on. We on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on. We on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we
ain't trying to just sit around and get about everything we going through. Ain't trying to live life and thank God like who the fuck is you? Ain't trying to feel years on earth. I done shed blood, shed tears on dirt. Fighting these fools trying to smear my work. On a set trip trying to clear my turf. Who are you? What am I? Confused, we must wanna die. We killing ourselves is another cry. Cops killing our brothers, they killing our brothers, and I know why. They got us killing ourselves, that ain't no lie. Look, let me break it down for you. First slave master, next employer. No 40 acre, no mule, no noise. Them type of eyes where the God destroys. Blood pressure makes diamonds, we shine and grind and we reach our goals. Searching for worth without selling soul.
This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on.
Yeah, push to the side, this to the side. They take niggas' lives, kill niggas' pride. Situations get minimized. Criminal history emphasized. On the victim they penalized. Officers don't get penalized. Big business is an enterprise. Social media they hypnotize. That's what people don't realize. Jail and slavery the same thing. Gotta look at what it symbolized. Still going through the same pain. About time that we improvise. Should we Nat Turner or Dr. King? Should we rise up or live the dream? Should we stay quiet, don't make a scene? Go Malcolm X by any means. Pick a size, no in between. Nigga, pick a size, no in between.
We on,
Yeah.
we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit we on.
I don't speak as a Democrat or a Republican, nor an American. I speak as a victim of America's so-called democracy. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. If you go to jail, so what? If you're black, you were born in jail.
Let's start with the abuse of the power. These cowards plucking black lives like flowers. No remorse, while the screams of our mothers get louder. Each encounter gets encountered with a Facebook Live. And still that's not saving our lives. I ain't making up lies. I know you seeing social media. They beating us and treating us so devious. Shooting us then leaving us. Provoking us then choking us for wanting respect. Or want answers with your knees on our neck. I can't breathe. Eating my Skittles while I scribble my notes. Contemplating on how I should vote. Got my back on the ropes. I'm from a hood where we learn from our losses. They come from a hood where they burning them crosses. We ain't the same. Panic's at an all-time high. I try hard saying I won't cry. Leave the house hoping I don't die. Looking up to the sky. Say a prayer hoping I survive. Anthony Hill, 26-year-old war veteran, was at an apartment complex in Atlanta where someone said he was crawling around naked, knocking on doors, acting deranged, so they called the cops. Now instead of showing up and giving this veteran the proper help that he needed, he was shot twice and killed. Unarmed, and naked. Yo, these kids supposed to be the future, but they shooting them down. Over toy guns and music, they get stretched on the ground. It's cause they skin brown, they gotta drown in their own blood. While these cops getting slapped on the wrist by a judge. No accountability for what we see. Are you kidding me? They don't de-escalate no more, they shoot and go free. Unjustified justification. We playing in funerals while they playing in vacations. They get gratification. One nation under two different laws. The motivation needs no explanation, the system is flawed. They shooting up the mall, even killing in churches. With proof they get away with the murder. We can't break up a fight, have a broken tail light, or just run. If your phone is in your hand, they still screaming a gun. Get your wallet out your pocket, they get scared cause you black. Or kicking your door, put two on your back, and have the wrong address. 22-year-old Kane Rogers was shot and killed by a police officer responding to a suspicious person possibly breaking into vehicles. As seen on his dash cam, he swerved in front of Kane's car at the last second, so Kane avoided his car. He jumps out, starts shooting, strikes him, and kills him. He said Kane tried to run him over. Dash cam shows something completely different. People putting pressure on politicians, the plot thickens. Purpose with a passion for past victims, the past hit hard. Scarred hearts in different parts of the country. Graveyards making plenty of money, while the scene getting ugly. But see, it don't make sense, cause the expense don't cover the suspense of being colored, while days are being numbered, and our nights are getting tougher. These ages getting younger, everything makes me wonder how we living in the land of the free, but your life is the price. Cops throwing bullet shells like rice, and a routine stop could be the end of your life, cause you don't have the right to be defending your rights. My nephew caught 76 from these pricks cause they flipped. Come to find out, it was nothing he did. Another young man, gunned down and gone. Rest in peace to Jamarion. Word. Jamarion Robinson, 26 years old. He was at his girlfriend's house watching TV when the cops kicked in the door and let off over 100 shots, hitting him 76 times. And all this was captured on Facebook Live. Investigators say somebody actually stood over his body and shot down into him. After they dragged him down the stairs and show his mom a picture of the suspect who allegedly pulled a gun on a cop, who was the wrong person.
This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. Oh yes, they are. They have never had a bloodless revolution or a non-violent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. It'll be liberty or it'll be death. And if you're not ready to pay that price, don't use the word freedom in your vocabulary.
First and foremost, my heart goes out to the families of Anthony Hill, Kane Rogers, and Jamarion Robinson. If you Google those names, you'll see their stories, you'll see the released pictures and video footage that's out. There's so many other families just in Atlanta alone that are dealing with the same situations of police brutality, where there's no justice as of yet for any of them. I'm not directly connected to him, but I am connected to Monteria Robinson, who is Jamarion's mom. And she's been going hard, man, putting in the work, making sure her son's case doesn't just disappear, helping these other families fight and push their cases. If you would like to help, reach out to her on social media. I'm sure she'll get back to you when she has time. She has a lot on her plate. And again, man, I just want to send my heartfelt prayers to the families and everybody that's dealing with these police brutality situations across the country. Not everybody gets national coverage. There's a lot that has been swept under the rug. But I'm just doing my part to bring awareness. Peace.
That's what
That's
we
how you
talk-
break into classic conversations.
That's what we're talking about right now, y'all. Classic conversations with JT and Lo, and we are talking about the Atlanta Falcons. That's what we're talking about right now.
It was the pre-show show.
Ooh, yeah, the pre-show show. We was talking about Matt Ryan and broken up Julio Jones, and
You gotta call him Matt Noodle Arm. Noodle Arm Ryan.
He's still the best quarterback in Atlanta Falcons history. Whether
know what?
y'all want to accept it or not, he's still the best
I ain't
quarterback in Atlanta Falcons history.
like I said, we ain't gonna do a sports show tonight.
I don't want to hear it, but it's the truth.
It's the
He
truth.
is the great white hope.
And whatever, he was the greatest white. He's the greatest quarterback.
The most exciting,
Yeah.
but he's just definitely the best.
I mean, who are we picking from? Chris Chandler and Mike Brown?
Hey, I ain't got nothing to
But-
do.
but
I ain't,
the
look,
point
I ain't got
is-
nothing to do with what you had.
If you're not a Falcons
All I'm
fan,
telling you
might
is-
have to be excluded from this. There's some Pittsburgh fans out there. They come to
And I
ATL
promise
business
you,
over here.
I
But
totally
they trying to get it
understand your
real.
pain. He don't understand your pain. He's
No,
had
he don't.
quarterbacks.
No, he
I understand your pain. I've had Eli Manning. I understand your pain.
Eli gave you 2 Super Bowls.
No, he did not. My defense gave me some Super Bowls.
Hey man,
He still made the
Understand
miraculous
that.
throw based on the helmet catch.
That's I said
he
Mario
just-
Manningham.
I mean, now he could have. Matt Ryan could have made that throw.
And
I stepped drop and got sacked.
hey man, hey
Just
man,
saying.
don't all.
Man.
All right, y'all. What's happening? Classic Conversations with JT and Lo. We are back. We took a week off, right?
Yes,
You-
sir.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Going cigars and drinks. Me and my make sure everything was cool. So now I'm back to smoking my own cigars and having my own drinks. And
I had a great event with my son, man. He became the new battalion commander of Alexander High School JROTC program, man. I'm super excited and proud of that boy. He said as a freshman, man, I'm gonna be the battalion commander by my senior year. And boy,
hey, man, let me tell you.
there it is.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm telling you I'm not around him every day. Not his dad. I'm not related to him. He is a special kid. Been special. I mean, I've heard stories. This kid has been special. So, I know we talked about where he's probably going to go. Still think. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We're not going to put that out there
Yeah,
right
we ain't
now.
put
We're
it
going
out
to wait.
there.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait. We've had that conversation.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. After the verdict, and there's 2 parts to it. I'm going to come to you guys in a minute. It's going to be now what? And then we're going to talk about all these shooting incidents. Or is this somebody trying to say, hey, man, recognize we still got this badge and we can still do what we can do. So, my brother, what's going on? How you doing over there?
Man, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's good to be had back.
You know, I
Shit.
I was trying to recognize you. Now you can put the shades back on. He gonna tell you his name. I don't know if it's the real one or not, but it's the one that he used when he's on camera.
Hey
So go ahead
man,
and let him know who you are.
aka Monk ATL, aka Music Monk ATL, but always me, no matter what.
B-Law in the building.
Always me.
And over here, we have our resident. Yeah, we're gonna call you our resident, bro. Ask a cop. Yeah. We have our resident Ask a Cop over here. You know, Mr. Unfriendly. What's the other ones he called? What's the names he called? Mr. Unclean and the Infested. Mr. Infested, Mr. Unclean. Go on, talk to him, bro. Let him know who you are.
Michael Lewis, 30-year vet with the Atlanta Police Department.
Come on,
Hey man, can y'all see my shirt? By the way, we wearing
Oh yeah,
shirts
yeah.
too, man.
Hold on.
My boy B Marsh, his wife. You know what I mean? This is kind of deep right here, but it says a lot. You can go to my site too to see where to purchase your shirts at.
Got that focus?
You got them.
Got that focus?
This, based on the topic of the show.
I mean, actually, it's based on the topic of every day.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean, it's this what we living with right now. You know, when we talk about the verdict, it was amazing to me. I was in Vegas, and I actually did not think the verdict was going to come out while I was there when I went. Seriously.
That quick, yeah.
And somebody hit me on my phone, was like, yo, the verdict is in. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And the craziest thing was you were sitting there nervous after we seen a murder on camera, but we were actually nervous that this guy was actually going to get off. Did any of you feel the same way?
I felt that way up until the point they said it was already in 10 hours. I thought, oh yeah, done deal. Don't nothing come back that quick.
Yeah, come on, unless it's guilty.
Unless it's guilty. They ain't asked no questions. They ain't asked for nothing to be reread. They ain't asked for no instructions over. I was like, oh yeah, it's a done deal.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it went either way, to be honest.
And that's where I feel that a lot of people actually felt, they were guarded, that type of deal. My man just walked in. What you got, bro?
Good, keep going. He
Sure.
he want me to log into something.
So we got the verdict. We're all happy. We feel good about it. But I saw some interviews where, people were basically saying that I'm not really ecstatic. I'm okay. I'm happy with it, but at the same time, I can't jump up and down too high, go crazy too hard because, this is something that's been going on forever, and it's just one. And since then, how many did you count?
Six.
Five. Oh, six. Yeah, it's been six. One, they shot the buddy in North Carolina. Man, they shot that brother in the back of his head.
Yeah, man. I just saw that when I was in the airport yesterday. So basically, we've had 6 shootings of unarmed black men since the verdict was read. Now, the verdict was read less than a week ago.
So today makes a week, right? Didn't it come out?
No, I think it came out on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Just for I'm totally crazy with my days right now. I was trying to figure it out. So today is Tuesday.
Everybody was saying today that they read this verdict on 420.
I really thought
Make sure they weren't gonna have no
Why did I
riots.
think today was Monday? I'm tripping.
They ain't got no rides on 420.
Nah, it was like, look, they happy. They gonna go smoke one.
Yeah, no riots on 420. Yeah, somebody said something about that. Somebody I met out
Clearly,
there
it's
said the
checkers
same
at this
thing.
point.
Yeah,
It's clearly checkers at this point.
yeah. So let me ask you guys up here. The question that we put out online, is it coincidence or is it get back? These shootings that you've seen. I mean, of course, understand, people, we know that we can't say exactly what somebody was thinking. We can only give you our opinion. So do not go out telling everybody that we said. We're only saying what we feel. We're not exact. We can't tell you what these people was feeling when they pulled the trigger or whatever. So, what do you think?
I think that things that like the culture is kind of taking a mind of its own. And when I mean culture, I mean like police culture. So, it's somebody who was pursuing law enforcement and who had got accepted to be in law enforcement. I didn't go that route, but when I think about things, when I think about the history of my schooling and the things that I've seen, it's just a culture. It's a culture of two Americas. It's a culture of the ability to police all sorts of issues that they talked about over the years, community policing. at this point, it's just the culture. It's just the culture. We've seen, but we've also seen examples of white people who've done far worse in the past week.
Yeah, facts.
And no guns were shot. Nobody, everybody went home. You got arrested. You got your due process. So at this point, it's almost like we're being distracted by the Roman Colosseum. Is that analogy? That's what I'm saying. It's checkers at this point. It's really checkers. It's like, hey, we're gonna do this. You guys are gonna march and protest, and you guys are gonna raise money, and we can't necessarily know where the money's. You know what I'm saying? It's really a big. It's really kind of jumbled. So if you think critically, you're just going to just sit back and just observe and not really have a reaction to anything. You're just going to pay attention and study more. Reactions are what's hurting us right now. Overreactions and not strategic reactions.
MJ?
I'm a little bit on the opposite end.
I figured as much.
Of course.
I'm looking at it more, it's not a culture. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think it's more so bad apples, and now people are actually paying attention to the bad apples. Where before a lot of stuff was going unseen, unsaid. Prior to body cams, what it came down to, dead men tell no tales. So a lot of things that probably would have hashed out differently in the past never did, but now you have a body cam. And body cams showing all and telling all. And I think what happens a lot of times is, once again, I get on the soapbox about a national academy. I think a national academy is needed so that's one thing, law enforcement should be cookie cutter from the extent that every single cop is going to react the same way given these is whatever variables you add into it. So a traffic stop should be A, B, C, D, unless you mess around and add an F to it, which could mess up and change everything. But I think what you're seeing is different levels of training. I think you're seeing people that is maniacal to think that it's a great conspiracy by all police officers, because I was one of them. And I know it's not a conspiracy. But what I think happens is a lot of bad officers are kept around, poor training. Everybody that's been in law enforcement, as you can attest to, and you've been around in corrections, you've seen somebody that's utterly effed up in
Facts.
training,
Yeah.
or effed up on the job, and they probably should have lost their job, but they were or let it go. And I think what you're seeing now is a lack of training, and it shows just how little training law enforcement has. And it also, the bigger thing that should come out shows that there is a built-in fear of a black man in law enforcement and in America in general. And I think that's not saying that these people are flawed or bad, but it's what they're taught and what they see by media.
Before you go, because I know you're about to go. Two things. First off, I know y'all already saw it. Had a guest come in. This is Michael Andre. Go and introduce yourself, my guy.
Hello, fellas. Good to be back.
Yes, sir. We got another repeat guy up in here. As you can see, he's a Jay-Z fan.
Repeat offender. That's right. Yeah, I got on the airplanes today. Michael, it's good to be back, though. It's good to be back. I'm gonna kind of play the expert around teenagers, foster care, that kind of stuff as we kind of get into this case.
Yeah, I call him the teenage whisperer. Two things that you said. One, when you said that, a lot of these bad apples, you're right. I feel that way too. There's a lot of bad apples within the police force. It doesn't mean that everybody's bad. But that means that blue wall is pretty strong, huh? Because they've been being bad. They've been bad for a minute. And the camera phones and, the cams or whatever, they wasn't able to put it out in the open. But somebody has seen these cats being bad. So is the blue wall really that strong?
Yes.
I say yes. In a lot of ways, yes. I say yes, it is. And a lot of it is it's one of the few jobs where you literally, your life depends on how
Somebody else
is going to react when you take an action. Now, do I think Atlanta's a little bit different because it's a chocolate city and we have more blacks? It's almost a 50-50 or might be even 60-40 breakdown black to white. So it's kind of different. I think more officers take action in Atlanta than you would if you're in Putnam County, Georgia, or out west somewhere. So I think Atlanta is not a good example of do people take action, but what I mean by bad apples are allowed to be around. Now, the things you do on a traffic stop is rumored. Like I don't know how many times you may pull up on the scene in the past when I was a young officer and somebody may say, man, all upset. Say, bro, what's wrong? Calm down, bro. Chill. Man, that motherfucker called me a nigga. Or said some crazy shit. You weren't there to witness it. You didn't see it. You let it go. Just jabber whatever. And it goes on. But now, body cams, whatever you utter, is forever. It's the best thing that ever happened to law enforcement. I think it's also maybe a
There was two things when you was like would make it A, B, C, and D. Now, if you add F, it changes things. The problem with it is that I have with that is that F is too wide.
It's the unknown variable.
Maybe A and B should be the training, and if you add C and D. Now, if you add F, then okay, that's extreme. But the problem I think right now is that F includes anything that you do to where it takes some police officers all the way to the extreme measures of pulling guns out and that type of method. In other words, it's like, now you're already in F.
That's why I said with training, what A would be whatever infraction be you approaching the gentleman and saying whatever the charge was or whatever he did. C would be you're getting the ticket, well, getting the feedback from him, and D would be the ticket and he drives off in a perfect world, or you get a warning. And F can be, I should say, you can become B. But what I meant by cookie cutter is it should be A, B, C, D. It doesn't. That can change that is your actions that are criminal in nature and the outcries you have. In some of the videos you see where officers probably should have took action and didn't take action, and it was somebody that was not of color. You have officers that are having conversations with armed people, and the person's in the fatal funnel, meaning the door jamb of a car. Says, I'm going to shoot you, and then touches a gun. Hey, he'd have been talking to Jesus. and I'm not going to hesitate. I wouldn't have hesitated. I'd have press checked him right there. And it's not saying, ooh, I'm tough. No, I'm just saying, I had ability, opportunity, and jeopardy were all there. All the elements where you can fire a firearm were there. I would have did it, and it would have been perfectly justified. And I think, and the thing that's sad about it, if you look at everything else that's occurred, it on anybody that's being fair, impartial, would say, insert a black man into that same video, and I don't think it would have lasted that long.
Thanks.
And that's the part, that's what I wanted more dialogue about. I'm not as blind to see that, but I think as a people, we shade ourselves a lot of times because when an unclean does something that everybody in the room is saying, why the hell did he do that? And then you elicit a reaction that results in death or violence, and then everybody wants to act shocked why it happened. And I think like the 16-year-old in Chicago. What's Chicago? Where is it? Where the 16-year-old got shot? Ohio. That was sad. Anytime somebody gets shot, it's sad. But the reality of it is.
So was that justified?
Right.
Oh, hell yes.
Are you really?
Now I'm gonna tell you.
Let me say this, because
That one is
you contradicted
A couple of times. We've been over here. We've been patient.
Yeah, we've been
waiting
patient.
for
We can get to that in a second. First of all, on one hand, you said you feel like it's not a culture of the police. It's just a few bad apples. Then you turned around and you admitted that the blue wall is really strong. You can't have it both ways, bro. Either it's a few bad apples or it's a culture thing. Can't have it both ways. So you got to pick. I mean, which side are you on?
Well, the
Is it a
blue
few
wall
bad
doesn't
apples?
always fall in just on violence. A blue wall supports a lot of things.
It does,
in
but
the
we're
long
talking.
Anytime you turn a blind eye, and as you move up in the food chain, I was lieutenant. So no, you didn't turn a blind eye. When there's a rumor and not substantiated, it's totally different. I've been part of OPS complaints where somebody used force. But I don't want to write the narrative that everybody wants to include and make that every officer in America is bad.
So you can have a culture that is bad that doesn't include that everybody's bad. I mean, you're lumping two things together.
Yeah.
I will say this.
Yes,
it is misused in American law enforcement, yes.
Absolutely. And so I think a part of this discussion, at least for me, is that the concept of just a few bad apples, it does a couple things. Number one, it makes people think, it's really not that a few people. This shit is happening all the time. And it was happening all the time before. We just didn't have that shit on video. Yeah. Think about the George Floyd case. If that girl wasn't there to tape that man would be out free today.
Absolutely.
And just a few,
and his track record was terrible.
It was. And it's not just a few bad apples. The other problem with the concept of just a few bad apples, there are some professions we can't fucking afford to have a few bad apples. Like, you can't have an airline pilot and be like, oh, he's just a bad apple.
Right.
No,
Surgeon.
and police officers is one of them motherfuckers. We can't afford to have a few bad apples. And so that whole thing makes people think that, it's not that big of a problem. No, it is a motherfucking huge problem, the police is. And to discredit that is really a shame. I understand why you do it, because you're one of them, or was one of them.
Because what I don't want to do, and I think what happens in our community.
You don't have to do it. I'm doing it. So I can understand.
Okay, you can do it. But what happens in our community, a lot of us aren't sitting here. We're having, as educated black men, we're having a conversation, a civil conversation.
Right.
But when you put uncleans into the same conversation, and we're having a narrative, and you say something.
Just for clarity,
what is an unclean? Like your terminology is highly dismissive of the community.
I don't like.
Y'all have to catch up on the other shows.
Are we talking about someone? Are we talking about someone who has a prior record, someone who has a felony when you approach them?
That doesn't make you unclean, brother. That doesn't make you unclean.
Anybody that's doing something wrong.
Anybody that's doing something wrong. Okay.
Hey, look at me.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it.
Because you committed a crime.
That's the unclean. He cleaned that up. It used to be called the infected. The infected. Now it's the uncleans. He cleaned it up a little bit.
Okay.
Hold up.
We got better than
I like your terminology.
Hold up. I love it. I promise you, I love it. We got a caller. We got a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead and state your name and what we're talking about.
Hey, this is Rima. How's everyone doing? I am fine, sir. I'm heading to Titanic's mixtape release party. You were invited. I didn't know what was going to happen with Vegas. I didn't know if you were going to be jet lagged or what. But I'll send you a regard. How about that?
All right, yeah, send a song to us for sure.
What I wanted to do, I just wanted to comment on what you, put there. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that is because I believe in the Bible. The word says there are no coincidences with these shootings. The Chauvin case just highlights one conviction out of thousands.
One in
And so
2,000
this
to
is-
be exact.
They're still, they're playing the percentage game. It's like, oh, well, that's just one. We can still do what we do. That's what I think. But I wanted to also emphasize the judge and the jury sent a strong message in that Chauvin case because they just released today 9 hours, 29 minutes is how long they deliberated. And I think that was just to say the 9 minutes, 29 seconds that they took this man's life.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that was symbolic. I think it was deliberate, to send a message. But these recent shootings, I think a couple of them are, justified. The knife incident with the young lady. I spent some time in law enforcement, and when deadly force is happening to someone else, you can greet them with deadly force. That's just the nature of that business. And I don't think as black people, we can't dilute our message by just thinking every time it happens that it's unjustified.
Amen.
That's facts.
I think that's where we're making mistakes, and people are saying stuff like, "Oh, well, they could have tased, or they could have did this or that." They don't understand reaction time.
They could have, yeah. What's, ma'am? Can't you hear us?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Can you tell me your name again? I partially agree with what you're saying. I partially disagree. And so my question is,
Who am I? What is your name, sir?
My name is Michael. My name is Michael. I'm sorry. This is Michael talking. I know several of us, and all black people look alike. So, no. My question is for you, and when you say that all of them aren't unjustified shootings or killings, which probably can be true, but also I think can be argued. How come in these similar types of situations or same type of situation, when, number one, how come black officers generally don't kill unarmed folks? And number two, how come when a white person is out of control? There have been videos where a white person had a gun and a white cop talked them down. They didn't draw their service weapon or anything like that. So why in those situations can a white cop talk a white person down, but a white cop will shoot a person and justify it for whatever reason?
I understood both questions. My response to question number one is a black officer still, just because he has on the badge, he's not going to be protected by the blue. It just still will be considered black on black crime. We still have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, and no matter what profession that we are in. So they're not going to get the same protection from their own. They're going to get thrown under the bus. That's my opinion. The second answer, there's been many police officers. What takes place behind the scenes, there is a belief that this person is white. Some fallout if something goes wrong with this person here. Their grandfather might be the Chamber of Commerce retiree. Those are the thought processes that I have had white officers actually admit to. And all of this, it still goes all the way back to the 300-400 years of press generational, and we're not going to ever be able to catch up because we're not going to live 300-400 years because they own the entire infrastructure. So
okay.
I think that they could do better. I think that they could do better at the scene, but of no fault of the police officer. I'm a mental health professional, and I'm telling you, you can't expect for someone to have that level of conflict of interest. I mean, an officer is an officer. At the end of the day, you can't ask them to also be mental health professionals.
But why are we
because they don't know how to de-escalate. They don't know how to de-escalate. You know, especially when you don't even know the diagnosis that you're dealing with.
I just want to clarify that they don't know how or choose not to de-escalate when there's black people involved. Them motherfuckers know how to de-escalate when there's some uncleans involved, because they do it every single time. Thank you for that.
To be clear, there's not a police officer in the country that will be able to go to a scene and de-escalate a mental health suspect to the degree that I can as a professional, because I might be able to definitively know just from behavior, just from their pupils, what type of mental health issue I'm dealing with and how I need to de-escalate. But I just think that you're asking too much.
I agree with that. They cannot do it at the level that you and I can because of our training. I'm also a trained therapist or a clinician. However, they still, when there's a white person that's acting crazy, them motherfuckers never kill them. They never kill them. So they do de-escalate, and they can de-escalate. They just don't do it when it's somebody that has my skin color. That's the problem.
They don't really de-escalate. What they do is they choose not to kill.
But they haven't.
Well,
they haven't
that's
been.
de-escalating. That is the situation.
That is
Michael.
non-lethal.
Excuse me, Michael.
That's lethal to non-lethal measures.
Excuse me, Michael.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir. Michael.
I'm listening.
Sir, what I'm saying to you is this. They haven't been preconditioned to be afraid of white kids. They've been preconditioned
Good point.
That's in a
to be
nutshell. I was
afraid
waiting to
of
say
the
that,
black
but
kids.
yeah.
Thank you.
I guarantee you, if white people that go talk to the trailer trash guy, no, not in a disrespectful way, because white people do not respect or appreciate white people from the trailer park. And you'll get a different outcome if it's a trailer trash white person. So they've been conditioned inside of their race to admonish white trash, or do they consider it white trash? You know, but I have to go, hello,
Caller, you are
friend,
spot
my
on.
retired officer. How you doing, darling? You doing okay tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
She always talking to you. She's talking to you now. She's talking to you right now.
All right, thank you, Michael. Michael, JT, connect me with Michael, because I'm gonna talk to him off this line, because I need to talk to him.
I don't want no problems, ma'am. I promise you, I don't want no problems.
I got you covered.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk at another time.
Yeah, got you
You all
covered.
have a
Very good
evening.
points you made.
Got you
Very
covered.
good
Call the
points.
police on you.
Yes. You all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, appreciate it, Raymond.
Yeah, and
But wait,
Man, you can't be having your people call in. Right. You can't be having your people call in.
What was y'all saying? You was just going to say something about they're not trained.
What the bottom line is, they don't have any fear factor over white people. They're not scared of white people. Aren't scared of white people. They have this natural fear of black people, which is the problem. You held that too long, man.
Made an ass shot myself.
yeah, because you got to look at it, and this isn't something that just happened.
If we're not going to
This
admit
isn't
that there's
something
a
that just
culture,
happened.
everything that everybody has said tonight has demonstrated that there is an underlying and an overlying culture in America. All we're saying is, let's start from acknowledging it. Acknowledge that, right? We can hold ourselves accountable all day long, but a routine traffic stop should not be the luck of the draw.
Yeah,
it should not be the luck of the draw.
Right.
Just comply. When you do comply, things have. We've made concessions at every level to try to demonstrate that this is not a problem that it really is. And every time we're like, okay, we did this. What's next?
Yeah.
But here's the problem with that, and I know whether we like the word or the term "a few bad apples," people don't like that term, and I respect that. But when you say words like routine traffic stop, which there is not one, but when you say those terms, though, if we take the number of traffic stops versus the number of actual major incidents that come from those, you know, it's not even it's a very small percentage. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's why that term, you know, a few bad apples come into play.
But
because
it's a high
not
percentage when it's people of color.
dispute that. Nobody's gonna dispute that.
But the question then is why though?
And then
So this is why, yeah, that and
And see, you were saying, I mean, we've all been saying. My first time we started talking about all the craziness out here, I went to training off the top. You've talked about it. Angelo's talked about it. But you just made a great point. Until there's acknowledgement that training that something is wrong, they're never going to do what you're talking about, having a national training organization. So until there's acknowledgement that there is an issue.
Let's go bigger, all right? And this is something that I saw, I think it was yesterday. I think I posted to you, and I think I sent it to you too, with something that dude Umar Johnson said. Now, I don't agree with a lot of things that he says.
Yeah.
But what he said the other day was 1,000% accurate. You know what I mean? He was talking about how that China virus slogan that retarded person we had in office started up. And now we've given them how many billions?
After
to basically say
year of suffering.
After 1 year.
Native American.
Yet we can't even pass a simple bill
to stop us from getting
non-lynching.
Yeah.
We can't pass a non-lynching bill.
It comes up.
You know what I mean? So you want to say how do you? But it goes to what Bronze was just saying, to acknowledge it. Okay, it's been acknowledged to certain levels, but this level won't acknowledge it. So if they're not going to acknowledge it, everything we all know, everything goes down.
If the status quo doesn't acknowledge it, then it doesn't exist.
Let's be fair to Dr. Umar, because you said that's what he said, but he actually said it stronger in the sense that the current president, who he begged us for our
said you
vote,
wasn't black. Said you wasn't black if you ain't
black if we didn't vote for him. That man, in his first few days of office, did shit for Asian Americans after suffering for 1 year because of what his predecessor had said and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And black people have been suffering for 400 years. And so I think a part of it is that, you know, even in that political realm, and I know that this isn't for that, but just to mention this or put this out there, is that we have been suckered and duped by the politics, and they use us every time. They get on that road, they say the same fucking thing, and then they get in office, they don't do a damn thing for us. Now, it's very true, because most people don't think. But I think that even kind of going back, I want to make this point and see what you guys think. I think I made a post yesterday around this, is that the police force really kind of started out as slave patrol.
Yeah, the fugitive slave patrol. Yeah.
Yes, it was slave patrol. So how and why
Pinkertons.
do we think
Overseer.
Yeah, exactly.
There was an overseer was turned into officer.
And so that same
KRS-One.
mentality runs through
KRS-One,
the
boy, you had to wrap one in my head.
culture of law enforcement. And if you don't acknowledge that, and if you don't believe it, I mean, that's fine. We all have our own opinions. We can go. Still have that same mentality that our job is to, control folks and communities, and particularly communities that we don't like.
So let me add, brother, I like the 30 years that you put in, brother. I appreciate your service. I think my brother Low Hill was also in law enforcement. My father was in law enforcement. I appreciate and value law enforcement, especially as a black man, because it must be very, very, very hard on your psyche
black and blue.
To be black and blue. Because
I've been saying it for a minute.
Because you want to be able to speak up when you see certain atrocities, when you see egregious actions that happen in the community. But you also know that when you call in for backup might not show up, or you might get hit with friendly fire. And then on top of that, then you have the adverse reaction that you get from the community most times, who will call you there. But then at the same time, we have this whole no snitching rule in the hood until it happens to you, right? No snitching until it happens to you, right?
Well, so that's the thing.
We hate the police till we have to dial 911.
So I'm acknowledging all of that. At the same time, that can exist as well as this culture. This knee-jerk reaction when it comes to black skin. And honestly, I don't know how you all do it. I couldn't do it. At the end of the day. So I commend you all. So I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but also at the same time, we have to come up with not only more training, but how about we increase these salaries? It's some counties around here. There's some jurisdictions that are paying like $35,000 to be a police officer to go deal with this.
Yeah.
You're less likely to be stressed out if you're making $100,000. You ain't trying to shoot nobody.
Oh yeah, I've been saying it for the long,
The salary-
the whole
But-
time. During this whole show, I've been saying that education and law enforcement are two of the lowest paid.
Well, I mean,
professions in
no.
America.
But you start off with saying there's certain professions that can't make those kind of mistakes. You started off with some of the highest paying professions there are. You know what I mean? But then you compare it to these $30,000-$40,000 officers or the ones who have to work 3-4 extra jobs just to make a comparable living.
And that's my point.
So,
You gonna be,
I believe that.
more. And
I believe that all day. I feel that law enforcement, like I said, law enforcement and education, two of the things that
right
really
there,
run this
I've said
country.
that too.
Really, they run the country. These are the things that police the country. Law enforcement and education are the least. I mean, they're the lowest paid professions in America.
Well,
Okay, now you're going to pull out some averages, right? That's what you're going to pull out.
I was, yes.
Okay, go ahead because go ahead.
So no, I was just going to say, and I guess it
And
depends.
that makes
on-
perfect sense too, by the way, that median.
Yeah, it depends on how we define profession. And so generally, when people talk about profession, they talk about somebody that has a college degree, and that's not required for a police department. I'm not saying that you
For
don't have-
some police departments.
For some police,
Okay,
for many
so
police departments.
let-
So I'm not.
yeah.
So that's one. And so I don't.
I'm sorry.
Whether- Go ahead.
I'm not one with the college degree, so that's why I use profession. So
No.
what-
I mean, I'm just saying. I want to be clear that we're talking about the same thing. So, so some people would it is a profession. Don't get me wrong.
But we should call it what?
It is absolutely a profession. We can call it a profession. I'm just saying that when you lump those salaries like education or something like that, social workers is saying they actually get paid lower than teachers in many. And you have to, a college degree is required. But when you look at the average salary, it depends on obviously where they in. In larger cities, they
Cost
make
of
more
living.
money. The
Yeah.
cost of living.
Yeah.
But the average police officer generally makes, according to here, the median household income in America, household income, that's with, no matter how many people live in there, is only $52,000. So while a person
it went
coming
up
out
since
of
the
the
last
academy,
time I watched.
while a person who coming out of the academy may start out at 35 or I don't know, whatever, may be lower, the average police officer makes more than the average American household. Now, I'm not saying that to say that to dispute your point necessarily.
No. You're actually helping
If
out.
we pay $100,000, that they would do better. I really don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought
Yeah,
about
but
that.
you got
First time I
to
heard
make sure you take those numbers to the major cities of L.A.,
Exactly.
Baltimore,
Because
New York,
they're
who have the
based
most
on
police
city.
officers.
You add them up,
Yeah.
their salaries, and then you
Yeah,
get those
but-
other cats that are bringing up that $20,000, $18,000 salary. Yeah, so
Right.
You don't
But
need $20,000
and that's the issue. It's not about
Whatever,
it's-
Southern
That's the
Georgia
problem.
or some
I think
small
with it,
Georgia, but I'm saying
I think
averages
that's the
would be
problem with it in
based on-
regards to the salaries. What you just said, to live, but they're doing more than living. Like you said, they got to make these decisions, and I'm not just talking about law
So
enforcement.
they
I'm
need to
talking
be
about
under
all.
as little stress in their day-to-day life
It needs to be a little
as
different.
possible.
It needs to be a little different
And they
because
carry that drama every day.
The stress of the situation.
What I'm
It won't-
saying is,
Yeah,
what
the
I'm saying
situation,
is
yeah.
that we're at such a
You see, I mean, you can be
American
liberal
culture.
and you can be
Well, we're
liberal
pulling
and
straws.
intelligent about it, or you can be liberal and just blind to what we do.
So let's-
And that's all I'm saying. The biggest thing that we do that can change it is if we have healthy conversations. Like,
Yeah.
I love every time you come in here. I love every time you come
Oh,
over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
But the issue I have is when you have a conversation, it's okay with us.
Yeah.
But when you have some people that aren't on the same education levels, because inner city youth have been failed by black leaders, black mayors that allow substandard schools to continue to exist.
And I
Now
wanna
you
get-
have that kid there. And the same thing, we're talking about media.